All right, example 3 says find the amplitude, the period, and the phase shift for that equation there and graph the function. What is our amplitude?
2.
Okay, great. And I'm going to write that down so we remember. What is our period? 2 pi over
2, so pi.
Which is good. And our phase shift.
Plus 3 pi.
Now remember, though, we're taking that phase shift, we're coming away from that x, aren't we? So we need to change the sign, don't we? So even though it says plus 3 pi, we're going to write negative 3 pi over 2. Remember, C over B, but change the sign because we're taking away. Or you could write that it's going left 3 pi over 2. Either way. All right, so we're looking at cosine. So I need my cosine parent table. Did y'all keep up with your plates over spring break?
No.
All of you should assume I had my plate before.
But you kept up with it, though. All right. So there's our parent table. And now we got to make our new table. So looking at this right here, what are we going to do to our x's?
You have to move in negative 3.
Okay, so we're going to subtract 3 pi and then?
And then you have to divide by 2.
Good, divide by 2. What are we going to do to our y's?
You've got to multiply by 2.
Very good. All right, so y'all do the x's, I'll do the y's.
No.
Because y'all aren't quick enough to say the other. But you notice I always do the y's and then I go help you with the x's?
Yeah.
Because most of y'all are still just sitting there anyways.
No, I just am still on the first one.
That's all right. When I say that, I really don't expect y'all to go do it all on your
I do the easy
own.
ones and then fill in the pattern.
Huh?
I do the
Easy ones first and then fill in the pattern. If you can find the pattern. Some of them aren't. These aren't so easy to see the pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because normally every other one is easy because it's a solid pi number.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I agree. All right, so I got my y's done there. So let's go ahead and let's look at our x's. So we can do 0 minus 3 pi, all divided by 2. So that's what, negative 3 pi over 2? Remember, that was that phase shift. And we said that our phase shift was going to be the first x on our table, didn't we? So that tells me my formula is good that I'm using. All right, now I'm going to do pi over 2 minus 3 pi divided by 2. It's going to be easier to use my calculator to help me. Do you remember how we did it? Don't put pi in your calculator. So you got 1/2 minus 3, enter, divided by 2, change it to a fraction, and then put pi back in there. Of course, I prefer you to be able to add and subtract your fractions, but that's not what I'm not looking for in particular here.
1 pi. Is that wrong?
Good, it's negative 5 pi over 4. All right, so then I'm going to take, is it pi minus 3 pi over 2? So negative 2 pi over 2, which is negative pi. Now, some of y'all like the pattern thing. If you can find the pattern there, you can use it.
I don't want to.
I'm going to. Excuse me, I'm going to. All right, so 3 pi over 2 minus 3 pi divided by 2. Good, negative 3 pi over 4. And then 2 pi minus 3 pi all over 2. There's our negative pi over 2, right?
How?
See, I was right.
Okay, so to graph this one, we're going to plot the points that we've got. So negative 3 pi over 2, 2. But let's say we're not for sure where negative 5 pi over 4 is. We know where negative pi is, don't we? And we know because it is directly between negative 3 pi over 2 and negative pi, it's got to be halfway between them on the graph as well. So halfway between this line and this line is that middle line. So right here. All right? And it's like we had just said, we know from 0 to pi, there's 4 blocks. So that means each line is a pi over 4. So if you needed to, this would be negative pi over 4, negative 2 pi over 4, negative 3 pi over 4, negative 4 pi over 4. There's our negative 5 pi over 4. And count that away. Alright, so negative 3 pi over 4 and negative pi over 2. Now, does my graph stop there? No, it keeps going. So we can draw this in, but let's go ahead and let's graph this from negative 2 pi to positive 2 pi. So just follow your pattern. And there's our graph.